Hello and welcome to a very special episode of WION Sports with me, Digvijay Singh. I am joined by a man whose DNA is all football. Andre Villas-Boas, welcome back to WION. We briefly spoke during Laureus 2018 awards in Monaco. I must ask you, Andre, this is your first trip to India, but you are one of the youngest top-flight managers in world football. How has football aged you?
A lot of changes, I think. I think what we see now is more the arrival of new owners, new ownerships in football in these last 10, 15 years. So the leaderships have changed, and that dynamic has created, even more pressure on the game, on football managers, because these new investors and investments and new owners. They demand more from coaches like us. So I think that probably is the biggest change right now. The influx of new ownerships in football, a lot of American ownerships, Russian, Saudi Arabian, etc. Going around the world of football and changing what is the dynamics and the cultures of the clubs that are around Europe. So I think the panorama is changing, not only around Europe but also South America, for example. In Brazil this is happening a lot right now. So that dynamic is changing, and I think it can have an impact towards the future. Let's hope a positive impact, which means that hopefully these new ownerships, respect also the culture installed within the clubs. Set them better into prosperity, into the future, with infrastructures, investments, new players, but with respect for what is the culture installed.
Yes, and perhaps also a bit of patience.
Yes.
Patience is in short supply. We just saw that with your old club, Chelsea.
Yes.
I mean, Thomas Tuchel, he was allowed to spend 300 million, and then in a couple of days after the window shuts, he's gone. So I think patience, because you need time to build. I mean, I remember you telling me in Laureus 2018 that how Liverpool had given Jurgen Klopp time. And see the results today. You think that's the problem today? Everybody wants results instantly?
Yeah, I think so. Unfortunately, there is success that happens after a change, but normally that success is short term. So what happens with our careers is that when you change a coach, you create different dynamics in the group. So players that felt not connected to a coach start feeling a new connection to a new coach. And that can produce results or not. Normally produces results immediately on a short term, but not on the long term. So it's important for clubs to have a vision and owners to have vision to set by the side of their coaches whenever there is arguments. But listen, football has become this industry. We are in a moment right now that for us football managers, we have never been in a situation like this, meaning that there are about 10 or 15 high-profile coaches on the standby right now, and this didn't happen before. 15 years ago, this nucleus of the 15 top coaches would change from post to post.
Yes, obviously I mentioned the owners trying to be patient, but you are an elite coach. In your day job, you work with elite footballers. So how patient were you this morning when you played and conducted a masterclass for these young small children of Delhi?
Yeah, well, I emotionally was very rewarding for me. I hope for them as well. I cannot thank enough the work that is being done by Slum Soccer in India. I am a foreigner that arrives in your country, and to see the impact for good and for change that Slum Soccer is doing within the communities is very, very important. So I felt very humbled and honored to be called up to give this lesson for the kids. We had fun. This is the most important thing right now, is that in such difficult circumstances that they live in, and without infrastructure, 30 kids are still able to enjoy themselves, put out the best skills that they have, not only technical skills for the game, but also cooperation, leadership, communication, all tools that hopefully they can take into the future. So, every time I can, I take this opportunity to thank Slum Soccer, to thank Laureus for the work that they do with the program that they support around the world. Because for the problems that society has, all this work is not enough. We need more and more, and it's precisely this kind of energy effect that passes between people that we have the power to continue to change other people's lives.
Yes, well, that's one of the guiding philosophy of the Laureus movement, like
Precisely,
what Nelson Mandela said, that sport can change the world. And it's perhaps just giving a direction, because let's look at football. I think football is the most accessible sport to play. You look at Brazil, you don't need a football to play. All these greats who have come up playing in the favelas, playing on the beaches, just with a ball, manufactured ball or just a cloth ball. I think the idea is basically to push them in the right direction.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And do you think Indian football needs that push? Because despite the population, we haven't been able to reach the top level in the world. There's a FIFA Under-17 World Cup happening here as well. But do you think that it's about harnessing that talent which is perhaps there? The population of India ensures that the talent will be there. We are probably not being able to tap into it.
Yeah, probably. I mean, you need a lot of reforms. I'm not an expert on Indian football. I'm sorry.
But you know football.
Yes. I know that a lot of Portuguese have come here for the Stars League that you have proposed. Because I spoke to them before coming, and they told me, you're going to enjoy the country, make the most of it, make the most of the experience, plus the hospitality that you have. You need to create a culture, basically. You need to get football into the schools. Normally, that's the easiest process. And then, by getting into the schools, you get into the kids' head. They start loving the game. They start, dreaming about their idols here and there, the Ronaldo and the Messi. This helps to create culture and create love for the game. So, but you need, of course, the infrastructures, where to play, the conditions. It's never an easy process to start, but I'm sure, from what I've seen today from the girls and boys out there, I think, technical skills you have enough. You just need to work on them.
Yes, but I remember one of those Laureus Awards also went to Yuva when we were there in 2019, I think. For an Indian NGO won the Laureus Sport for Good Award. It won for working with tribal girls in the state of Jharkhand. Now, just going to get back to your day job, which is football. Now, as a manager, as a top flight manager, you work with the top players across various leagues. This is a different sort of footballing season with the Winter World Cup. Yeah. There are a lot of top players like, say, a Salah, an Erling Haaland or Donnarumma who are not going to the World Cup. How have you dealt with this when you were coaching top players? Say if your player who's playing for you in the club, his country did not qualify for the World Cup, it becomes difficult for that player themselves. So as a manager, you need to put a down around their shoulder. How do you do
There is a big difference here. Because we would have, as coaches, we would have players that would not go to the World Cup, but we will only see them in the beginning of the new season. So the season would finish, their team would not be involved in the World Cup, and then you start a new season. So then when they arrive to start the new season, they are already on a new mindset. Here is a bit different because of the Winter World Cup. It's a stop within the season. And that stop for top players can be, difficult to handle. I think it depends on everyone's character and what they want to do with that time that they are going to be given. I think on the sense of the top players, most of them, I think will use that time to recover because of the amount of games that they have been subject to, particularly Salah, for example, with the African nations. I think it's never easy. You never want to see. I was not a football player, but I guess for top football players, you don't want to see a World Cup in TV. You want to be there watching it and playing it. But yeah, it's a totally different setting right now, and can be hard to overcome.
When you go into a World Cup, it's usually the usual suspects, 7, 8, 9 teams who are always in the running. There's England, you would say Germany, Spain, Portugal, France, Croatia, just very limited teams. Do you see any other team outside of this 8 or 9, Brazil, Argentina, I forgot, out of them challenging? Do you think the Winter World Cup will there, or do you think that world football, these 7, 8 teams know how to play tournament football and they're the ones who will eventually be in contention?
Yeah, of course, you have the experts, then you have the outsiders. I'm curious to see Senegal, for example. A great generation of players getting together. Belgium, of course. Third in the World Cup, the last World Cup in Russia. Morocco as well. So the Morocco and Senegal, they in this moment, they gather probably their best ever generations.
Yes.
So it will be interesting to see how these two outsiders, if they produce, a good World Cup. But yeah, normally it's a tournament that is played within the best. It's going to be good to see Argentina, I think, as well, because they have finally found structure and setting and organization that is producing results for them. And it will be good to see them again at a high level. And then you have Portugal. I'm going to come there.
I'm going to come there. Because you said Argentina, so the question was forming in my mind that they're not so reliant on Messi anymore. But same for Portugal, because the Portugal is defined by 2 great teams, Eusebio's team, and then the golden generation, Luis Figo and that generation. But when I look at your team currently, the Portugal team, this is a team which is not just no longer reliant on Ronaldo, Cristiano, but it also has superstars in every position. And they sort of bond very well, they gel very well. Do you think that this is the year for them, that they can sort of go and emulate that golden generation and finally give Ronaldo perhaps that fitting farewell? Yeah.
Listen, I think we already, this generation that we have right now in these past 6 years has been the best ever. We have achieved the best results by winning the Euro and the Nations League. And the talent that we have coming through right now doesn't stop. It's a very, very good generation, and I think it matches or surpasses the golden generation that we saw in around 96, 94. We have a coach that has brought us a lot of success. A team that tries to find this balance between Cristiano and this all new guys coming. But I sincerely have good hopes. We have most of the positions covered.
Yes.
Very good players per position, technically gifted, very, very creative. We always seem to have a problem with the striker that defines the situations, that scores. We have excellent wingers, technical ability on the flanks, midfielders very, very creative, great central defenders, great goalkeepers right now, with Diogo Costa as well coming through in goal. But the number 9 was always our big problem. But let's hope that Cristiano will provide us also with the solutions in that position, and I'm sure that he will. And
like Federer said, you can't battle Father Time.
Yeah.
It's always ticking. But you spent a lot of your time in England also. You've coached in England. Do you think England have finally evolved as a tournament team? Because earlier we've seen the golden generation there also, Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes, Beckham, but they never sort of achieved success at the World Cup or the Euros. Yeah. But now you've seen World Cup last time, 2018 semi-finalists, finals of the Euros. That shows a team which has sort of grasped how to play well. You don't have to be flashy. You just have to win that match. 1-0, move to the next, move to the next.
Yeah, I think for England it's important that they finally found patience and stability with their coach. Yes. And to be fair, in 2018, England did produce wonderful football at that time. With a 3-4-3, 3-5-2 system, with great dynamic. They have continued that success then through the Euros. We probably could see them challenging. Southgate has brought this tactical freshness in them that is very, very welcome. Yeah, it's going to be a contender as well.
But are England also sort of reaping the benefit of the Premier League attracting all the big players? Because you spoke about Portugal producing great technical players. You look at Man City, Bernardo Silva, Cancelo, Ruben Diaz. Then all the best players in the world are now playing in the Premier League. People could say that, oh, the English players don't get that many chances, but all but 3 of the current England team are playing in England.
Yeah.
And because the Premier League is sort of pushing the success level, I think from 2018, you look at the Champions League, except 2020 when the pandemic happened, they've been in the final or the semi-finals all the time. You think that is also helping, that they've raised the game, the other players?
Probably, I think so. I think it has a direct influence because they are forced almost to raise their competence and abilities. They are put under pressure, and this has developed them. This is one of the good things that always work in the Premier League is, okay, by important talent, you are forcing their own homegrown talent to step up the game, and I think you are right there.
Okay. Also in the English game right now, we have 2 managers who are not English, but who have sort of elevated the role of the manager in the last couple of years. There's a lot of talk about Guardiola, Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp. You told me in 2018 that I like the passion which Jurgen gets to the job and his teams play for him. But how do you see the role of the manager changing in terms of the approach, the attacking football which is now being played? Earlier, I remember when I was sort of watching football, Rafa Benitez, Jose Mourinho, sort of attritional football, you know. But now this is free-flowing attacking football. How do you see the role of that football changing like that?
I think depends on the coach. You know, you have spoken about 2 of the best, protected within a club of patience that has allowed them to work, and which has allowed them to dominate also the transfer market. So you know, you are speaking about 2 super talents. I don't see that the trend that these 2 are setting is seen overall throughout the European game. I think the European game is more conservative because there is less patience, precisely. And because there is less patience, people work on survival mode. And because they work on survival mode, they work defensively. Yeah. So I don't see that, okay, they are great inspiration for all of the coaches. What I think has changed in European football and in world football is the dynamics that are related to systems with 3 defenders. So we have seen an influx of 3-4-3 and 3-5-2 more and more because they create different dynamics in the game. And probably that would be the main change that we have seen in the last 6 years. But I don't see that you know, this free-flowing attacking football that we see sometimes in Man City and Liverpool has passed on to everybody because.
But Bayern also had it at one point of time. 2020 they played very expensive football, yeah, but limited clubs. Yeah. But perhaps it helps that away goal rule has gone away in the Champions League. A little bit, yeah. That has also helped probably. Yeah. Okay. Now, Real Madrid won last time the Champions League with an aging squad. So Guardiola has come in and got Erling Haaland. Were you surprised with the kind of goals he's been bagging in? Because at times the English league isn't known for somebody scoring 40, 50 goals. Yeah. He looks like he could get there. Yeah. Is that the talent or just him profiting from the Guardiola system?
I think a bit of both. First of all, the talent is magnificent. We already had seen before in Leipzig, in Dortmund, what he was doing, in Salzburg, and in Dortmund what he was doing, and he was banging the goals, you know, in every form. The speed, the power that he has, athletic, you know, the power of anticipation that he has is a great striker. So at his age, what he is producing is outstanding. So yeah, maybe we can be present with him and Mbappé in probably the next fight for Ballon d'Or. Let's see.
I was speaking to Johan Neeskens, the Dutch football legend, and he was saying that earlier the Dutch league used to produce so many superstars, but it's no longer happening because at the age of 17, 18, if the player is already going and playing, say, in the Premier League or where you're saying in the Bundesliga, how does our league develop? Is that football's biggest challenge today? That you're going to have 1 or 2 leagues which are there. He was saying that the entire transfer outlay, what the Premier League spent in say one club spent, Chelsea spent 300 million, he said that was the budget for the entire Eredivisie. Yeah. But is that sustainable in the long run, Andre?
That's the million-dollar question. Let's see. Football is going through a very sensible situation right now, because you have the proposal of Infantino of a 2-year World Cup. You have the Super League, the questions around the Super League, the influence of new owners, extravagant owners, and the demands that they put and the changes that they want to make. So it's a very, very sensible time for what has been a culture within years and years. And then you have the Premier League that lives, like a Super League, away from everybody in the world in terms of
money,
profit, and
$2 billion transfer they spent in this window. Yeah.
So let's see how that can disrupt the market and the other leagues. I think it's early. There is time for adaptation. Because also in European football, new leaders are coming, a new generation of young leaders is coming, and they bring their own ideas and they look more into the future, and this can bring can make the gap shorter, hopefully.
Okay, we've talked about football, the World Cup, European football, Champions League, Portugal perhaps being contenders to win the World Cup. But I want to end on a personal question. When you first came on and became manager, people were saying, he's very young. He's the same age of the players. How will he succeed? But do you look at yourself today as a pioneer? Look at all these young managers, Julian Nagelsmann, Mikel Arteta, all these young who are coming through. Do you think that you've sort of laid the path for them?
It was not me. I think that started with Saki, then Jose Mourinho, Benitez as well. Then perhaps me, Brendan Rodgers, Nagelsmann. So within this time frame, you have young coaches that have, come into the game and showed to the youth that this is possible. What is happening right now because of situations like mine? A young kid, 15-year-old or 16-year-old that finishes high school, instead of wanting to become an engineer, he wants to become a football coach. He's never played before, but he can choose to go to a sports university, form himself within 3-4 years, make a probation period somewhere, and then start coaching. Take his license, his badges, and start coaching. So this is more and more often. This is happening in Portugal, and this is translating for us, fortunately for us, in very, very good coaches everywhere. So in schools we have good football coaches, in youth levels we have good football coaches, and that might be also the reason why we are extracting so much good talent right now. So we have young kids now that they don't want to become players, they want to become coaches straight away. So this is, I think if we see this happening right now, we will see even more in the future. On the other hand, what is happening is that the recent success in Champions League has been to ex-football players. So with the amount of trophies that Guardiola has won, Klopp, for example, Zidane,
Carlo Ancelotti.
Yeah, Carlo Ancelotti. So the amount of trophies that they have won, when clubs have to make a decision, they are balanced in between a new generation of these people that are formed to be football coaches, or the ex-football player that brings that experience and charisma and knowing of the dressing room. That's also important.
Okay, but we'll go with what you said at the beginning. So perhaps I still have a career in football. As a manager, I'll do my coaching batches. Perhaps the next time we meet, hopefully not after 5 years, you'd be sitting here, I'd be sitting there, and we'd be discussing this. But Andre, thank you for your time. And hopefully you enjoy your stay here in India. Hopefully you get to see some more sites, get in to take in some more of the hospitality, as you mentioned. And hopefully you keep coming back and keep helping Indian football discover itself. Because as you said, it's a big country. They just need to sort of get that system right.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Yeah. Thank you.